is Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestants. Player one. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thanks, Johnny. Welcome to Jeopardy, everyone. Good luck to you in the Jeopardy round. For this game, the categories are as follows. The continent, L to pay, math, board game history, best musical actor Tony winners, and literature. Player one, you're in command of the board as we continue right now. In the 1950s, Parker Brothers took a French game called Conquest of the World and turned it into this. Yes, player one? Here's the correct response. Risk. You get to pick again, player one. Hasbro says this game was invented by a wealthy couple while aboard their luxury boat. Okay, player one. Correct. Player one, choose again. It's the Daily Double. And you're in the lead now. How much? All right, here's your clue. While out of work, Alfred Butts created this word game by mixing anagrams with crossword puzzles. You are correct. Player one, back to you for our next selection. A game imported from India is called both Shoots and Snakes and These. Let's hear it, player one.
Yeah.
Right you are. We return to you, player one. Charles Darrow created this game in the Depression while dreaming of fame, fortune, and his summers at the Jersey Shore. Player one? Right you are. You again, player one. This woman was the subject of Petrarch's Canzoniere. We're talking about Laura. Player one. Pick again. Polonius tells this character, "This above all, to thine own self be true." Here's the correct response. Laertes. Player one. Pick again. Whitman's "When lilacs last in the dooryard bloomed" was an elegy to him. Here's the correct response. Abraham Lincoln. Please pick again, player one. Federico Garcia Lorca wrote a famous one of these for the death of a bullfighter. Here's what we wanted. A lament. Player one. Pick again. The ban on this D.H. Lawrence book was lifted in 1959 in the United States. Here's what we were looking for. Lady Chatterley's Lover. Select again. 66 plus 32. Okay, player one. That is correct. You get to pick again, player one. 73 minus 14. Player one.
Yeah.
You got it. We return to you, player one. 148 divided by 4. Okay, player one. Correct.
Yeah. Woo.
We return to you, player one. 17 times 6. It's player one. We're talking about 102. Select again. 23 plus 8 minus 16. It's player 1. Right. You get to pick again, player 1, where the Latter-day Saints believe that Zion or New Jerusalem will be built. Let's hear it, player 1. Nope. Sorry. We're talking about North America. Player 1, back to you. That can be typed using a single row of letters on a standard keyboard. It's player 1. Hey, you're right. Player 1, back to you. That extends down to about 54 degrees south latitude. Yes, player 1? No, that's not right. Here's the correct response. South America. Select again. With the most countries. Yes, player 1? That is correct. Please pick again, player 1, with the first country alphabetically. Here's the response we were looking for. Asia. Select again. Catch Me If You Can, 2011. Here's the response we were looking for. Norbert Leo Butz. We return to you, player 1. Camelot, 1961. Yes, player 1? No, that's not right. We're talking about Richard Burton. Player 1, you pick again, please. Fiddler on the Roof, 1965. The correct response is Zero Mostel. Player 1, you pick again, please. How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, 1995. We're talking about Matthew Broderick. Select again. The Producers, 2001. Here's what we were looking for. Nathan Lane. You again, player 1. It shouldn't take much effort to tell me this. Gordon Brown's political party. Here's what we wanted. Labor. Player 1, you pick again, please. Take me to this reinforced section of fishing line where the hook is attached. Let's hear it, player 1. The correct response is the leader. We return to you, player 1. Affectionate name for critters of the genus Agapornis. Here's the correct response. Lovebirds. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. Most lower back pain is in the area of the 5 vertebrae classified as these. Here's what we were looking for. Lumbar. Let's have a look at the $1,000 clue. Bath sponge that's really a type of tropical gourd. Okay, player 1.
Yeah!
Right. The Double Jeopardy round will begin right after this. Categories for the Double Jeopardy round are the meaning of the prefix, mythology and art, math, the silent screen, 1977, and get positive. Let's get back into this now. You have control of the board. It's the quantity x represents in the logarithmic equation log 10x equals 2. Yes, player one? Right.
Yeah! Woo!
Select again. Newton and Leibniz share credit for developing the fundamental theorem of this branch of mathematics. Yes, player one? Here's the correct response. Calculus. Player one, back to you for our next selection. The order of operations is irrelevant according to this property of both addition and multiplication. Yes, player one? Yes. Player one, pick again. No arguing with Euclid's fourth postulate. All right angles are this, meaning of equal measure in degrees. It's player one. Yes. Player one, back to you. The minuend is the first number in this simple operation. Let's hear it, player one. No. Here's the correct response. Subtraction. Player one, pick again. A statue of this Roman sea god is a perfect choice for a fountain. There's one at Peterhof in Russia. Let's hear it, player one. Yes.
Yeah! Woo!
Please pick again, player one. A sarcophagus at Hearst Castle depicts this group of 9, including Erato, who inspires love poems. We're talking about the Muses. Player one, back to you. Let's take it over to Sarah.
This city statue of Geffen and her oxen is a bit less famous than the Little Mermaid.
Here's the correct response. Copenhagen. We return to you, player one. Answer. The first of the 2 daily doubles. And you have the lead. How much are you going to wager, player one? Here is your clue. Praxiteles sculpted this Greek equivalent of Mercury carrying the infant Dionysus. Yeah, good. Select again. Get psyched at the Louvre by looking at Antonio Canova's sculpture of this Roman god and Psyche. Here's what we wanted. Cupid. Select again. In Son of the Sheik, he played the title role as well as the character's father. The correct response is Rudolph Valentino. You get to pick again, player one. In 1920, at the age of 27, this actress, known as America's Sweetheart, played a girl of 12 in Pollyanna. It's player one. Right you are. Please pick again, player one. Gary Cooper had a small role as a cadet in this first Best Picture winner about 2 flyers in love with the same girl. We're talking about Wings. Please pick again, player one. In 1927's It, She played Betty Lou Spence, a department store salesgirl with designs on her boss. We're talking about Clara Bow. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. Orson Welles said, "The greatest Civil War film ever made was The General, starring and directed by this comedian." Here's what we wanted. Buster Keaton. Player 1, you pick again, please. Oprah has unlocked The This, a book by Rhonda Byrne about using positive visualization. Here's the correct response. Secret. You get to pick again, Player 1. An illustrated book pairs Alexander Calder's artwork with the lyrics to his song, Don't Worry, Be Happy. Here's what we were looking for. Bobby McFerrin. We return to you, Player 1.
Yeah.
Answer, the second Daily Double. You are currently in the lead. So, what's your wager? Here is your clue. His power of positive thinking begins, believe in yourself, have faith in your abilities. Here's the response we were looking for. Norman Vincent Peale. We return to you, Player 1. Thriving through stress, like him conducting Ode to Joy while ill, is the idea in a book called The Hymn Factor. Here's the response we were looking for. Ludwig van Beethoven. Player 1, choose again. The book Whale Done applies the positive techniques used at this marine park to business and family life. Yes, Player 1? Yep. You again, Player 1. Hemi. Player 1? That's correct. Player 1. Pick again. Die, as in dicephalus. It's Player 1. Right. Please pick again, Player 1. Contra. Yes, Player 1? Yes.
Yeah. Woo.
Player 1, back to you. Anti. Yes, Player 1? No, sorry. Here's what we wanted. Before. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. Circum. Player 1?
Yeah.
Correct. You get to pick again, Player 1. In October of 1977, terrorists from this U.S. Commonwealth took the Statue of Liberty hostage for 9 hours. The correct response is Puerto Rico. Player 1. Pick again. Egypt was planning a new town to be built near Cairo to be called the 10th of this holy month. Here's the correct response. Ramadan. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. The world lost 2 more Marx Brothers in 1977. Milton, also known as Gummo, and Julius, also known as this. Here's what we wanted. Groucho. We return to you, Player 1. The 91-year-old widow of this British Prime Minister was selling off his paintings to supplement her $26 a week pension. Okay, Player 1. The correct response is Winston Churchill. And we'll wrap up the board with this clue. President Carter signed a treaty on September 7th, 1977 that said the United States would give up control of this in 1999. Player one?
Yeah!
That's right. Way to go. Good game. I'll see you for Final Jeopardy in a moment. Here comes the Final Jeopardy, players. The category is this: historic purchases. So, what's your wager? Sorry, your current score is the highest you can wager. And the clue reads: the English received this person from the Burgundians in 1431 for the sum of 10,000 francs. What did you say? How much do you add to your total with that correct response? You've come out ahead as our champion, player one. Good game. Thank you so much for playing.
This is Jeopardy! Please welcome our contestant. Player one. And now, here is the host of Jeopardy, Alex Trebek.
Thanks, Johnny. Welcome to Jeopardy, everyone. Good luck to you in the Jeopardy round. For this game, the categories are as follows: the movies, in the dictionary, a hostile takeover, 19th century medicine, transportation, and Truman Capote. Player one, you start us off. Jack Palance's character is described as a saddlebag with eyes in this 1991 comedy. Let's hear it, player one. That is correct. Player one, pick again. In the film Music and Lyrics, Hugh Grant plays the Jeopardy Think music written by this creator of Jeopardy. Okay, player one. Right. Player one, you pick again, please. Answer. It's the Daily Double. You are in first place. Player one, give us a wager. All right, here's your clue. Irene Bedard, the speaking voice of this heroine in an animated Disney film, played her mother in The New World? Good. Player 1, back to you. The 2003 film Pieces of April starred this actress, who had yet to meet and marry Tom Cruise. Player 1?
Yeah!
That's correct. You get to pick again, Player 1. Jane Russell and Marilyn Monroe sang about being two little girls from Little Rock in this 1953 movie musical. Player 1? You got it. We return to you, Player 1. It's a 7-letter synonym for majorette, from what she does with her baton. Yes, Player 1? Yep.
Yeah! Woo!
Player 1. Pick again. This enclosed glass container is used to keep plants and small animals, such as turtles and lizards. Okay, Player 1. That's it. Player 1, back to you. Appropriately, the word volcano comes from the name of this Roman god. Yes, Player 1? Yes. Player 1, pick again. Here's Sarah. She'll show you.
In the pronunciation for the word circus, the U is an unstressed vowel and is marked with what looks like an inverted E, called this.
Okay, Player 1. That's it. Player 1, pick again. The name of this horse breed tells us that it originated in the Perche area of France. Okay, Player 1.
Yeah!
You get to pick again, Player 1. Enjoy the Sleep in Heaven Youth Hostel or the Newhound Boat Hostel in this capital of Denmark. It's Player 1. That's correct. You again, Player 1. I'm sure the Red Bus Hostel is fine, but the Mellow Mood Central Hostel caught my eye in this capital of Hungary. Let's hear it, Player 1. Yep. You get to pick again, Player 1. Do the Funky Chicken Hostel or the Butterfly Villa Hostel in this Romanian capital. Let's hear it, Player 1. That is correct. You again, Player 1. It's off to the Hans Brinker Budget Hotel or Dirty Nellie's Inn. Sounds inviting. In this major European city. Okay, Player 1. Yes. Player 1, back to you. Surf the Internet Hostel or the Marriott Hostel. Note the lack of an extra R and T in Marriott. In this Bulgarian capital. Okay, Player 1.
Yeah!
Good. You get to pick again, Player 1. In 1885, the first successful vaccine for this was tested on a boy who had been bitten by a dog. Okay, Player 1.
Yeah!
That is correct. Player 1, back to you for our next selection. The invention of the ophthalmoscope in 1851 by Hermann von Helmholtz aided inspection of this body part. Player 1? That's right. Way to go. Please pick again, player 1. In 1865, Joseph Lister began using carbolic acid as this, from the Latin for against putrefaction. Yes, player 1? That's right. Way to go. We return to you, player 1. In 1852, George Kamen gave physicians a new version of this instrument, whose name is from the Greek for chest. Okay, player 1.
Yeah.
Good. Please pick again, player 1. This German's discovery of X-rays in 1895 had visible effects in diagnosing medical problems. Okay, player 1. Right you are. Please pick again, player 1. Roofed cars on a freight train, or a roll of 12 in a dice game. Okay, player 1. Right.
Yeah. Woo.
Player 1, you pick again, please. Jimmy?
The name of this vehicle, used on grave occasions, comes from Old French for long rake.
It's player 1. You are correct. Player 1, pick again. During the Cold War, 2 different families escaped over the Berlin Wall using these lighter-than-air vehicles. Okay, player 1. Correct. We return to you, player 1. From 1985 to 2003, Milwaukee hosted a parade featuring dozens of these wagons from Baraboo. Okay, player 1. Right you are. You get to pick again, player 1. If you're walking your baby back home in London, it won't be in a stroller, but in this 4-letter synonym. Let's hear it, player 1. You got it. You again, player 1. Capote was born Truman Streckfus Persons, September 30th, 1924, in this southern U.S. city. Let's hear it, player 1.
Yeah.
We return to you, player 1. She's the lead character in Capote's Breakfast at Tiffany's. Yes, player 1? Yes. Player 1, choose again. He won an Oscar for playing Truman in Capote. Player 1? Hey, you're right.
Yeah. Woo.
You get to pick again, player 1. Capote invites the world's greatest detectives to his house for a contest in this 1976 film spoof. Player 1?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's have a look at the $1,000 clue. Capote gained fame with this otherworldly 1948 novel about a teenager in a crumbling southern mansion. Okay, player 1? Yep.
Yeah.
The Double Jeopardy round will begin right after this. Let's see what happens in Double Jeopardy with these categories awaiting the players. Martial arts. You are so foxy. The sporting life. The Bible. Scientific American. And American history. All right, if you're ready, it's Double Jeopardy time. In the West, the ninja combat weapons known as shuriken are called throwing these. It's player 1. correct. You get to pick again, player one. In karate, a hiji is a strike with this body part. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Know what I mean? Let's hear it, player one. That's correct. Player one, back to you. The folding Filipino fighting knife called a balisong is also known by this insect name. Let's hear it, player one.
Yeah!
That's it. Player one, back to you for our next selection. Krav Maga is the official self-defense system of this Mideast country's defense forces. Player one? You got it.
Yeah! Woo!
Select again. A bokken and a shinai are two types of swords used in this Japanese martial art, whose name means way of the sword. Okay, player one. Good.
Yeah! Woo!
You again, player one. In a practice routine for typists, this critter jumps over the lazy dog. Let's hear it, player one. Good. We return to you, player one. J.J. Dickinson and M. Jeff Thompson were each called this Francis Marion nickname of the Confederacy. It's player one. Good for you. Player one, choose again. Around 1650, George Fox founded this religious group. Let's hear it, player one. Right. You get to pick again, player one. It immediately precedes golf in the NATO phonetic radio alphabet. Player one? Yes. Player one, back to you. The foxglove plant is the main source of this medicine, used as a stimulant in damaged heart tissue. Player one? Correct. You get to pick again, player one. You can weigh up to 147 pounds in this boxing class between lightweight and middleweight. Let's hear it, player one.
Yeah!
Good for you. Player one, back to you for our next selection. In 1967, Memorial Coliseum in this West Coast city hosted the first Super Bowl. Green Bay beat Kansas City 35-10. Player one?
Woo!
That's correct. Player one, back to you. Answer. The first of the two daily doubles. You are currently in the lead. How much? Answer. In 2006, Massachusetts made this sport, invented there, the official sport of the Commonwealth. Right. Player one, choose again. Here's Kelly. She'll show you.
Popular in the British Isles and the Commonwealth, it's the sport being played here.
Player one? Yep. Select again. This ABC show debuted April 29, 1961, with Jim McKay as host. It's player one. Yes.
Yeah! Woo!
You again, player one. As Rachel died bearing him, she called him Benoni, son of my suffering. His father Jacob used this name. Okay, player one. You are correct. Please pick again, player 1. When the Jews of Persia are ordered killed, Mordecai puts on sackcloth accessorized with these. Yes, player 1? You are correct. You get to pick again, player 1. In Luke, Jesus is tried both by Herod and by this Roman governor. Okay, player 1. Correct. Player 1, you pick again, please. The Jews held these people in low esteem, so they're made to look good in Luke. It's player 1. Player 1, pick again. The first and second of these books cover the same period as 2 Samuel and 1 and 2 Kings. Player 1? Right. Please pick again, player 1. Scientific American reported on the founder type of these genetic changes. They happen in one person and affect millions of descendants. Let's hear it, player 1. Yes. Player 1, pick again. A March 2002 story was on this bacterial toxin months after the first purposeful release in the United States. Yes, player 1? Yes. Please pick again, player 1. An IPY, an international this year, kicked off in 2007 to study ice shelves and permafrost. It's player 1. Right. Player 1, you pick again, please. Appropriately, he wrote the October 1994 story, The Search for Extraterrestrial Life. It's player 1. Right you are. You get to pick again, player 1. Scientific American reported that millions of spam messages are generated by rogue software programs it called these. Let's hear it, player 1. That's correct. Player 1, choose again. When the British approached, the Concord militia didn't know about the skirmish at this place earlier that day. It's player 1. Ooh, sorry. That's incorrect. Here's what we wanted. Lexington. You get to pick again, player 1. World War I sales of Liberty These, whose posters showed the statue, raised more than $15 billion. Yes, player one? Good.
Yeah! Woo!
Select again. You didn't want to make the mistake of following the South instead of the North Platte on this pioneer trail. Player one?
Yeah!
Player one, you pick again, please.
Yeah!
The second daily double, and you're in the lead now. How much? Answer this. The U.S. supplied materiel to its allies during World War II through this 1941 congressional act. Yes. And now the $2,000 clue. Here's Kelly from our Clue Crew with the clue.
This World War II general's private carriage is on display at Wisconsin's National Railroad Museum.
Here's the correct response. Dwight Eisenhower. You will participate in Final Jeopardy right after this. We've got the Final Jeopardy round here for you, and today it features this category: U.S. politics. Please enter your wager. The Final Jeopardy clue is, since 1960, only Massachusetts and this state have produced more than one of the 10 Democratic presidential nominees. Did you come up with the correct response? With that correct response, you will gain. Player one, congratulations to you. Thanks for playing. We'll see you next time.